Hello everyone, this is Refresh and I'm here to bring you a battle between these two Guilds of Ravnica Planeswalker decks and the Defeat a God Challenge deck from Journey into Nyx. We'll be playing this game twice on normal and hard difficulties. We'll be also playing with 3 hero cards. The first one being the Harvester. It says tap, draw a card, then discard a card. The Explorer, it says you may play an additional land on each of your turns. And the Vanquisher, which says your starting hand size is increased by 1. Your maximum hand size is increased by 1. We'll go ahead and begin with 8 cards apiece. Vraska's opening hand includes a Bartisan Bats, Prey Upon, Vraska, Regal Gorgon, Golgari Gilgate, Spinal Centipede, Wild Ceratok, Lotleth Giant, and Devkara Dissident. There are not enough lands here, and so we will ship this back and then try another 8. Vraska has a Devkara Dissident, Prey Upon, Iron Shell Beetle, Deadweight, Spinal Centipede, Swamp, and Golgari Gilgate. It isn't ideal, but I think it is a keepable hand, so we'll keep it. Ral has a Robo-Bit Blower, Command Storm, Ral Staticaster, Mountain, Precision Bolt, Island, Mountain, and Island. It isn't ideal, but this is also a keepable hand, so we will do so. Because this is multiplayer, we'll each draw a card on the first turn. Vraska draws a Lotleth Giant, and Ral draws a Ral's Staticaster. We'll go ahead and start by playing a Golgari Gilgate tapped and a Swamp over here, and we will cast a Deadweight, putting it on Xenagos Ascended, making him a 4/3, and then we'll play a Mountain and an Island over here, and that will be the end of that. We'll go to Xenagos' turn. Xenagos will cast the top 2 cards of his library, the first one being a Impulsive Return. Return 2 cards, name Ecstatic Piper from Xenagos' graveyard to the battlefield. At the beginning of combat this turn, Impulsive Return deals damage to each player equal to the number of revelers on the battlefield. There are 3 revelers on the battlefield. And then the second card being the exact same card. So this will happen twice, so we'll be taking damage from each reveler to each player. That's 6 times 2. So we'll be taking 12 damage this turn to go down to 8. Ouch. That is a brutal first turn. At the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Vraska will draw a Swamp and will discard a Prey Upon. Ral will draw a Fearless Halberdier and will discard a Fearless Halberdier. We'll untap. We'll draw. Vraska draws a Forest. Ral draws an Izzet Guildgate. We will play a Mountain and an Island over here, and we will play a Forest and a Swamp over here. We'll tap all 4 here to play Ral's Staticaster, and then we will tap 4 here to play the Devkara Dissident, and then the Iron Shell Beetle, and the Iron Shell Beetle will put a counter on itself. And then we'll pass the turn to Xenagos. Xenagos will cast the top 2 cards, the first one being Xenagos Scorn. Xenagos Ascended gains trample until end of turn and attacks if able. And then we will also get a Wild Mayonnaise, which is a 3/1 first striker. Xenagos will attack for 4. I think we'll just have to throw the Iron Shell Beetle under the bus in this case. The Iron Shell Beetle dies. And we are filled with a little regret. We'll use the Harvester at the end of the turn. Vraska will draw a Beast Whisperer, and then we'll discard the Lotleth Giant. Ral will draw a Goblin Electromancer, and we'll discard the Precision Bolt. Then we'll untap. Then we'll draw. Vraska draws a Crawl Raider, and Ral draws an Island. We'll play the Izzet Guildgate and the Island over here, and we'll play the Swamp over here. We'll tap 4 here to play the Beast Whisperer, and we will attack the Rollicking Throng with the Staticaster to kill one of them. And then we will tap 4 here to play another Staticaster, and then we'll pass the turn to Xenagos. Xenagos untaps. Xenagos draws and plays an Ecstatic Piper. When Ecstatic Piper enters the battlefield, Xenagos Ascended attacks this turn if able. And then we'll also play another one, which is Dance of Flame. Whenever a Reveler attacks, Dance of Flame deals 1 damage to each player. This is pretty bad. Xenagos is going to be attacking again for 4, and at 8 life, I think we just have to throw the Devkara Dissident under the bus. And then at the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Vraska will draw a Swamp, and we'll discard the Swamp. Ral will draw a Mountain, and we'll discard the Mountain. We'll untap. We'll draw. Vraska draws a Swamp, Ral draws a Maximize Altitude. We'll attack with the Beast Whisperer into the Ecstatic Piper and the 2 Ral Static Casters into the Rollicking Throng to kill them both. And the Ecstatic Piper says when Ecstatic Piper leaves the battlefield, each player gains 2 life, which means we'll be gaining 4 life to go up to 12. And then we'll play a Swamp over here. On the second main, we'll cast both the Crawl Raider and the Spinal Centipede here. And we will cast the Electromancer here. Oh, we should have drawn 2 cards for the Beast Whisperer's ability, and so we'll draw 2 cards over here, and then we will pass to Xenagos. Xenagos will untap. Xenagos will cast the top 2 cards, the first one being a Pharaoh's Band Revelers, which is a 4/4, and the second one being a Xenagos' Strike. It deals 4 damage to each player. There are 2 players, so we will take 8 damage, taking us down to 4, which is a very precarious position. We will use the Harvester at the end of the turn. Vraska will draw a Crawl Raider and will discard the Golgari Guildgate. Ral will draw a Hellkite Whelp and will discard the Maximize Altitude, and then we'll untap. Actually, before we untapped, why don't we cast Command the Storm using the open mana here to kill off the Ferris Brand Revelers at the end of Vraska's turn. To kill it, and each player will draw a card, and so we'll get an Omnispell Adept over here, and Vraska will get a Golgari Guildgate over here. And then we'll go into our turn and we'll draw a card each. Vraska will draw a Forest, and Ral will draw an Island. We'll play the Island, we'll play the Guildgate and the Forest. We have that first Striker over there, which is a little annoying. We can't kill it with a direct attack because it's just going to first strike and kill whatever attacks it. Actually, we're going to do this with Vraska because Vraska's Undergrowth is fueled by dead bodies. So we'll attack the Wild Mayonnaise with the Spinal Centipede and the Crawl Raider. The Wild Mayonnaise will first strike kill the Spinal Centipede, which will kill it, putting a counter on the Beast Whisperer, and then the Crawl Raider will finish it off, killing it. When Wild Mayonnaise leaves the battlefield, each player gains 3 life, so that's 6 life, taking us back up to 10. And then on our second main phase, Ral will cast the Hellkite Whelp, and Vraska will cast the Rhizome Lurcher, which will enter the battlefield with 4+1/+1 counters, making it a 6/6, and we'll draw a card when we cast the spell. We also have the Prey Upon now, and so we'll tap a green, use the Prey Upon to make the Rhizome Lurcher punch Xenagos, and because he has no other Revelers on the battlefield, he will perish and give the win to the Guilds of Ravnica Planeswalker decks. We'll be right back with Hard Mode. Alright, we're reset for Game 2. We have 4 Rollicking Throngs on the battlefield, and we will go ahead and draw 8 cards apiece. Vraska draws a Glowspore Shaman, Attendant Vraska, Devkarin Dissident, Spinal Centipede, Swamp, 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 and Ironshell Beetle. We're actually short our green mana to cast a lot of the things in our hands, so we're going to ship this back and then redraw 8. Now we have a Forest, a Swamp, Ironshell Beetle, Golgari Guildgate, Forest, Swamp, Forest, and Swamp. There's exactly 1 creature here, and as bad as that sounds, it actually doesn't sound like the worst thing because we can hopefully loot out of these lands and into spells, so we're going to keep this, using the Promise of the Harvester to get somewhere. Ral draws an Island, Fearless Halberdier, Erratic Cyclops, Ral's Dispersal, Island, Omnispell Adept, Ral Caller of Storms, and Leapfrog. There's only 2 lands here and they're both islands, and so I don't think we can keep this hand. We'll ship it back and then draw back up to 8. Now we have an Island, Mountain, Ral's Dispersal, Goblin, Electromancer, Fearless Halberdier, Direct Current, and Island. I think this is an acceptable hand to keep, so we will. Turn 1, we're going to go ahead and draw because this is multiplayer, so Vraska will draw a Deadweight, and Ral will draw an Island. We'll play the Guildgate tapped and a Swamp, and we'll cast the Deadweight on Xenagos, making him a 4/3. We will play the Mountain and the Island, tap them both to play a Goblin Electromancer. And then we'll pass the turn to Xenagos. Xenagos will cast the top 2 cards. The first card being an Ecstatic Piper. When Ecstatic Piper enters the battlefield, Xenagos is going to attack. And then the second card being another Ecstatic Piper, so Xenagos goes on the attack. We will just take the hit this time and go down to 16. And then at the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Vraska will draw a forest and discard the forest. Ral will draw a Fearless Halberdier and will discard the Fearless Halberdier, and then we'll untap. We'll draw. Vraska draws a swamp. Ral draws a mountain. We will play a forest and a forest over here, and we will play a mountain and an island over here. Then we will tap 3 mana over here and play the Fearless Halberdier, and we will tap a forest and a swamp over here to play the Iron Shell Beetle. When it enters the battlefield, we can put a counter on a target creature. We'll choose the Electromancer. The Electromancer will go on the attack and kill one of the Ecstatic Pipers, getting us 4 life, taking us back up to 20. And then we will actually loot during our second main phase so we can see if we can get something besides more lands. Vraska will draw a forest and discard a swamp, and Ral will draw an island and discard an island. Then we'll pass the turn to Xenagos. Xenagos will untap, and we'll cast the top 2 cards, the first one being an Ecstatic Piper, and the second one being a Xenagos' Thorn. The Xenagos' Extended gains trample until end of turn and attacks his turn if able. So Xenagos is going to be on the attack no matter what, and he's trampling, so we're just going to take 4 damage, and then go back down to 16 again, and then we will untap. We'll draw. Vraska draws an Attendant of Vraska, and Ral will draw a Precision Bolt. Ral will play the island and the mountain. Vraska will play a swamp and a forest, and then Vraska will cast the Attendant as a 3/3, and we will attack a Rollicking Throng with the Halberdier and a Ecstatic Piper with the Electromancer, killing them both, netting us 4 life, taking us back to 20, and then we will pass the turn. Xenagos will untap and cast the top 2 cards, the first one being Xenagos' Strike. It deals 4 damage to each player, hitting us for 8 damage, taking us down to 12. And then the second card will be an Impulsive Destruction. Each player may sacrifice an artifact or enchantment. Impulsive Destruction deals 3 damage to each player who didn't sacrifice a permanent this way. We don't have either to sacrifice, so we're going to take a total of 6 damage to go down to 6, which is not terribly good. At the end of the turn, we're going to tap 2 red mana to cast Direct Current to blow up the Ecstatic Piper. It'll go to the graveyard and we'll gain 4 life to go back up to 10 at least. And then at the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Vraska will draw a Defkaran Dissident and will discard a forest. Ral will draw an Izzet Gilgate and will discard the Izzet Gilgate. Now we'll untap. We'll draw. Vraska draws a swamp. Ral draws a mountain. We'll go on the attack and attack each of the Rollicking Throngs with these creatures, killing all the Rollicking Throngs. And then we will finish up by playing Ral's Dispersal, targeting Xenagos himself, removing him from the battlefield. Because there are no Revelers, it works, and the Guilds of Ravnica Planeswalker decks win the day. Let me know what your thoughts were about these games in the comments below. If I made any rules or gameplay errors, also let me know. That will help me become a better player. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. If you'd like to see more such videos, hit subscribe. I'll be reviewing these Guilds of Planeswalker decks next. But until then, this was Refresh, and thanks for watching.